Live here at the Cure Auto Insurance Desk with Grant Long. I'm Mickey York. We'll take you right back to New York to hear from J.B. Bickerstaff and the players in just a moment. You know, after many of these games, we're always kind of looking at the statistical reasons why one team won over the other. I'm not sure that tonight didn't just boil down to guts and willpower for the Pistons.
Well, they said that at the very beginning before the game started, that's what it was going to take. Who was going to have their will imposed on the other team? Tonight it was the Pistons. They got to play their solid defense, physical brand of defense, got to the free throw line. All of those things composed a good win for the Pistons. I like the fact that they started off this ball game with a sense of determination. There was a sense of urgency, and they had the right disposition, Mickey. Defense first, forced some turnovers. They got out and played in transition a little bit, took the pressure off of themselves to play and be ultra productive in the half-court situation. That's good in a playoff game like tonight.
And we sat here at halftime, mentioned that Cade Cunningham had only 4 points in the first half.
Yep.
Wondered what it would take to get him going. Well, he got himself going, as we see in our GMC Pro Vision. It was a strong second half and a big reason why the Pistons were able to get out of New York with the win.
Well, we knew it was just a matter of time. Cade was going to try to put his imprint on this basketball game. As you mentioned, 4 points at halftime. Just couldn't really get into an offensive rhythm, but that's okay because the other guys picked him up. But when he had his opportunity in the second half, he took full advantage of it. Made some difficult shots that looked easy for him, but he was on his roll, in his rhythm, and he just started playing some really good brand of basketball, physical brand. You see him come away with the steal right there. This was perfect for him. He came off that screen, and there was some indecision by the Knicks. He took the free ball. That was his first one, as a matter of fact, and he got that one to go down. He was already in a rhythm at that point, so that was good to see him knock down the three ball and feeling good about his offense coming into Game 5 in a couple days.
20 of Cade's Pistons high, 24 coming in the second half.
Game 6, I should say. Excuse me.
Greg Kelser had a great look at it alongside George Blaha. He joins us now as we take you back to the Garden. Greg, in addition to Cade, and we'll talk about Asar Thompson in just a moment, but they hold Brunson and Towns to a combined 33 points in this game. That's basically what Brunson has been averaging in this series. And in the 2 wins in Detroit, Towns was averaging 30 a game. How key was that tonight that they forced some of the other Knicks to beat them tonight rather than let those two control and dominate the game?
Well, I just thought it was a great game plan by the Pistons. They were incredibly composed throughout the whole day, really. It started with shoot-around this morning, and Coach Bickerstaff told his guys, listen, we have been able to bounce back all year. We have been tough. We have answered the call, much adversity. And he says, I don't expect anything different tonight. And then they got up and started shooting around. But that set the tone for the entire day. Now, the plan to put Asar Thompson again on Brunson and guard him the entire length of the floor, I think finally took a toll on Brunson. He looked worn out at times. And Asar was able to do it tonight effectively over the course of the whole game without suffering foul trouble, foul difficulty. Tobias Harris deserves a big round of applause for playing a guy. He's actually playing a center, okay? That's a 7-foot man that he's having to battle, and Tobias is 6 feet 8 inches tall. He's being outweighed by some 20, 30 pounds, and yet he is hanging in there fighting and scoring and leading and rebounding and doing all the things that the Pistons absolutely have to have him do at his position when they're shorthanded and they don't have that Isaiah Stewart body and physicality to bring into the game. So he has been magnificent. I thought in this game also that Cade persevered. Cade had 4 points at halftime, got 20 in the second half, got loose a little bit, took better care of the basketball. They all did. And this was definitely a team victory. Even Jalen Duren, who was not having a big night scoring, came alive in that fourth quarter. They were able to hold the Knicks down and did not allow them to get 30 points in any quarter, something they haven't done in the series. It was, and I guess the other thing, I'll go back to Asar Thompson. How about 22 points from him?
Yeah.
I know the Knicks didn't count on that. I said during the game, I know the Pistons didn't think that they'd be, getting scored upon by Mitchell Robinson, who I think had 14 in the game off the bench for the Knicks, 13 for Mitchell Robinson. I know the Knicks didn't expect Asar Thompson to get 22 points. Not only was he maybe the best defender on the night, for a long time he was the best scorer. And those are the factors that led to this Pistons victory. But folks, again, you see what's happening. You're seeing a team that's growing, that's developing, that's learning, that's maturing. and that's expecting to win no matter the circumstances, and it's beautiful to watch.
You know, you mentioned Tobias Harris on Cat Towns, and for me, I think it's a great move by Coach Bickerstaff because Towns is not going to play out of the low post for the most part. It's going to be a struggle. It's going to disrupt their offensive rhythm if he decides to try to dribble the ball down there and back his way to the basket. It really disrupts their offensive rhythm. So they're not going to do it a lot. Tobias is quick enough to stay with them on the perimeter and challenge his jump shot. He's a very good three-point shooter. So I thought this was a very, very good move on Coach Bickerstaff's part. Now, let's talk about the scoring that happened for the Pistons. In a playoff scenario, you always find that X factor. It's going to be a guy that you don't count on for points, whatever. It might come up with a big rebound or his hustle really stood out throughout the game. Tonight, it was Asar Thompson. Yeah. You just didn't count on those 22 points from him. He was the X factor. But let me also say this. During that time Cade Cunningham was only scoring 4 points in the first half, you had Asar Thompson chipping in. You had that stretch where Tobias Harris got going after he got slapped in the face there. He got going and opened it up and kept the tide going and kept the offensive rhythm going. And then Cade came in the second half and really put this one away with his offensive production. That's the kind of win that the Pistons need. That's the kind of production and support that Cade needs. You can't just fall by the wayside all of a sudden if your best player is only scoring 4 points. The other guys have to do their part. And I think by and large, everybody did, even if it wasn't a significant amount of points. You mentioned it, Greg, on the glass in the fourth quarter. Schroeder making some very, very good clutch free throws. Tim Hardaway Jr. knocked down a couple shots. Beasley even got going there for a stretch. But it was those little stretches that kept the game close enough that allowed Cade to be amazing in that second half.
Yes. These two teams are really even, guys.
Yeah,
they're even. These games have all been very, very close. And if you go back over the regular season now, these two teams, here's the wild part. These two teams have played 9 times now, soon to be 10. And the road team has won 7 games. The road team is 7-2 in this series, with the Pistons winning 4 games here at Madison Square Garden. That's wild to even think. But somehow, some way, the Pistons, and I would not bet against them, they got to find a way to win and make this a 7-game series. One more trip back to New York. I know they want to treat their fans to a victory for the way the fans have showed up and made that atmosphere at Little Caesars Arena just unbelievable, as wild as it has ever been since the Pistons moved back downtown. They wanted to feel that one more time, but they also would like to give their fans a victory.
I can't fathom that the Pistons will lose all of their home games in this series. I fully expect that they'll find a way to get the job done on Thursday night, and we are headed to a Game 7 in this series. But the Pistons did what they needed to tonight to get this thing back to Detroit. It was a lot of fun to watch, Greg. Appreciate the time as always. Safe travels, and we'll talk to you again on Thursday night.
Okay, guys.
You know, as Greg alluded to, J.B. Bickerstaff has seen the Pistons respond to adversity all season long. He didn't expect them to shrink from the moment tonight. And the Pistons, at no point in this game, ever looked or seemed to feel like the moment was too big for them, and they were able to rise to the occasion. J.B., a happy J.B. at the podium as we take you back to New York for his post-game press conference.
Again, it's the personality and character of this group. And I'm not surprised, right? Like, this is what they've always shown to be, and this is what we expected from them tonight.
How much composure did you see down the stretch in what could be a situation where some teams come around?
I think we did a great job of getting to our spots and executing the stuff we knew we could get to. That created an advantage for us. But I think it all started with Asar and his defense. He was phenomenal defensively tonight. Offensively, obviously, to come up with the 22 points. But, I think it started with his defense, and a lot of credit should be given to him.
And then with Cade Cunningham, we talk about clutch time a lot. They did a good job locking him up, early. But he went on his own 7-0 run there. 5 minutes to play. It's a tight game. How much leadership did he show in taking you guys to the Pistons?
He's the guy. We've talked about it before a ton. He understands the moment. He understands when and how. And it's basically, with his skill set, it's make or miss for him, right? Like if he can get to his spot, regardless of what you're doing defensively, and then it's just a matter of him, making or missing his own shot. And again, I was glad to see him late in that game. He finally started to get to the free throw line, which changes the way teams have to guard him also.
Brunson's an interesting player in the way that he kind of changes his pace and draws fouls and all that. What's it been like to see Asar over the course of this series kind of study him and figure out how to defend him?
Yeah, I mean, again, he's a heck of an offensive player, right? Phenomenal offensive player. But I think Asar, from a mental standpoint, like a want to, there's not more people out there that want to get a stop the way that he does. He's gifted athletically. He's got great instincts, but to your point, the fun part is like he gets to see the guy over and over and over again. And then he grows every single game on understanding what's the best way to defend him and how to make it so difficult. You remember early in the series, he got a couple cheap ones in the backcourt, because he was over pressuring. Now you see him working his way back, still turning him, but he's not getting those cheap ones. He's able to stay on the floor and be impactful. So it's fun to see him learn and go out and execute it.
Were you surprised the Knicks didn't call a timeout there to get Brunson and Hart back in the game when they were kind of the scores staying with that stretch?
That's their job to coach their team.
Also on the style, obviously we talked about how rough those first 4 games were. Refs letting you guys play. What do you think of how the tone changed tonight in terms of the way the fouls were called? It seemed like they were being a lot better for both.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things that's just completely out of your control. And I hate to, make this series about refereeing and the officials, because it's not, right? This is a series about 2 highly competitive teams that are battling their tails off, trying to do whatever it takes to win. The physicality, I believe is a good thing for the game. It's a good thing for us. Obviously you got to protect guys and be safe and all those things, but, you know what I mean? Like, this series isn't about the officials. This series is about 2 competitive teams playing great basketball against each other.
Sar obviously had a good night scoring. Seems like he was consistently able to make himself available for those tough off passes and those numbers. But what did you see from him just from an off-ball movement standpoint that allowed him to continue to play?
I mean, he executed the game plan. We're watching how they play and where they like to help from. And, he's one of those guys, because of his size and athleticism, he's elite at finishing around the basket. But again, give his teammates credit, right? Because he was assisted when his teammates were able to make plays, making the second read because of how they're defending us.
Coach Cade, obviously, took over the majority of the second half, but in that first half, when it seemed like he was struggling to get going, Tobias Harris really stepped up for you guys. I know we actually put in a lot, but what more can you add about Tobias Harris and what he means to this team?
I mean, I've run out of adjectives about how I feel about Tobias. So I'll just repeat myself. You know what I mean? Like, he is our safety blanket. He's reliable. He's dependable. He understands what needs to happen in the moment. He's an unbelievable human being, an unbelievable teammate. He's a fierce competitor. Like, I mean, you want me to keep going? Is that enough?
JB and the Pistons getting ready to come back home for Game 6 on Thursday. The Pistons trying to come back from a 3-1 series deficit for the second time in franchise history, the first time 2003 when they ended up beating the Magic in 7 games.
So it can be done.
It can be done.
Okay.
And Asar Thompson helped put them in this position with 22 points tonight. Picked a great time to have his best game of this series. Also added 7 rebounds tonight to go along with, 0 assists. They didn't need him to pass the ball. Asar delivering now from the podium as we take you back to New York for his postgame comments.
My mindset was to keep playing our brand of basketball. Down 3-1, doesn't matter. Just keep pushing the pace, keep playing defense, getting stops, and that's when we're at our best.
Well, you've obviously had the big responsibility of guarding Brunson. Just what have you learned about that matchup in general? And then tonight, like you probably had numbers first half. What was going to be your favorite that matchup?
Just being aggressive, but being smart. Knowing what positions I'm in and not, letting him take advantage of that. And, I feel like that helped me a lot.
What can you share about the message Coach JB did share with you guys on the court game?
One game at a time. Win this game. Don't even worry about the next 2. So now the message, I'm sure, is going to be, win the next game.
You've seen Cade obviously do a lot of things this year, but this was a big stage late in the game. closeout game, and he made the big baskets down the stretch. Was that as good as you've seen him in that type of a moment?
Yeah, I've seen him do that 1,000
Right.
times, so it doesn't surprise me at all. You know, like I expected.
What's your favorite team? Comment below, and if you liked the video, please leave a like. This really helps the channel grow and brings you even more content. Oh, and if you're not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button and activate the bell to receive all notifications. With each game, we noticed that the NBA is getting more competitive every day, and all the teams are looking for reinforcements to win the championship. And only here can you follow your favorite team daily with incredible content from different sources. Here on the channel, there are new videos every day with analysis, curiosities, and the best moments in basketball. That's it for today, folks. Thanks for following along. The NBA doesn't stop, and neither do we. Until the next video. NBA, the passion that connects us.